Library Authority to order. Please call the roll to establish a quorum.
Eric Guerra, Patrick Kennedy, Linda Budge, Phil Cerna, Jeff Slowey, Larry Carr, Stephanie Wynn, Jay Chenier,
Here.
Darren Soon,
Here.
Don Natoli, Angelique Ashby, Sue Frost,
Here.
Alan Warren,
You're over here. Okay.
and
No, you're here.
Lori Hewer.
Here.
We good?
Yeah.
And we have Linda Budge. So we got a quorum plus one. All right.
He left. Okay. I need to read the meeting statement, too.
All right.
This meeting of the Sacramento Public Library Authority is being videotaped in its entirety and will be cablecast without interruption on Metro Cable 14, the Government Affairs Channel on the Comcast Consolidated Communications and AT&T UVerse cable systems, and will be webcast at www.sacmetrocable.tv. Today's meeting is being shown live and will be repeated at 4 p.m. Saturday, July 28th, and at 1 p.m. on Sunday, July 29th on Channel 14. This meeting is closed caption. A DVD copy will be available for checkout from any library branch no later than 2 weeks following today's meeting. A public copy of the full agenda, including reports, is available for viewing at the back table and is available on the library website at www.saclibrary.org. Members of the audience wishing to address the board should complete a speaker notification form located at the back table and give it to the clerk. Please speak into the microphone when addressing the board and state your name for the record. Comments are limited to 3 minutes so that everyone may be heard. In consideration of others, please silence your cell phone at this time.
Okay, thank you. And I want to note that Karina Talamantes is here, and I believe sitting in for Phil Cerna. Is that correct? Welcome to the board. Let me see if we can just change this a little bit, Rivka. And what I'd like to do is do everything but the action item, go to closed session before the action item, come back for that. But let's get rid of consent and everything else before we do. Okay? Public comment on matters not on the agenda. I don't have anything. You have no slips, so we'll go to presentations. I Street Press Annual Report for 2018.
Good afternoon. My name is Gerald Ward. I am a librarian with Sacramento Public Library. I've been working over at the Central Library for over 25 years, for the library for 29 years. And 6 years ago, I was put in charge of the I Street Press, which uses an espresso book machine to print and bind local authors' books. And since that time, we have accumulated over 460 titles, over 360 authors, and we have printed, as of today, well over 27,000 books. I do have an annual report printed on the machine, and if you would like a copy of this, please let the clerk know, and I'll get you a copy happily. In the last year, fiscal year, we have added well over 60 titles and well over 60 authors. I talked to one of the newest authors just 15 minutes ago when he finished printing her book. And of course, there's a lot of excitement when people see with their first book, their baby, come off of the I Street Press. I've actually printed books for Robbie Waters and Steve Cohn, who have both been on the board. So if you all have a book, come and talk to me, and I will help you get it done. The I Street Press prides itself on taking local authors and making what they seem to be impossible becoming possible. We pride ourselves on the simplicity of the process. If you think about getting a book printed or published, self-published especially, it can be pretty daunting, yet we have been able to make it very simple. In fact, before anyone gives me money, I make sure that we're ready to print because I want them to walk out of the building with their first book in their hands. Then that gives us realistic expectations. I tell people all the time, this is what you can expect, and there are things that we can't do. But when it comes to helping people self-publish, we make things happen. Their reactions are priceless. I've helped seniors in high school. In fact, if you go through the I Street Press annual report, you'll notice a number of students from 8th grade to seniors in high school who came to us to do their books. And their reactions can be anything from giddiness to breaking down and crying because it's so wonderful. And I get a lot of hugs, too. We give them concrete results. They actually get to hold their book. It's not an electronic file anymore. It has a cover, it has the interior, and we make sure that the books that they get are exactly what they want, so our integrity is intact. So I would like to thank the board for continuing to support the I Street Press, and for Rivka for making it all happen. By the way, the most recent addition to the I Street Press was this little thing called Frankenstein. It was a monster. Literally a monster to take care of, but it is now available through the I Street Press, but also on Amazon.com.
And we will have copies in October for all board.
And we've got a lot of copies coming. So, you have the information in front of you. So I'd like to thank you very much for your time. And again, if you'd like a copy of the I Street Press annual report and catalog, the clerk will take your name, and I will be able to get those copies to you.
Great, thank you very much. Ms. Ashby.
Thank you. I just wanted to say that I had a great experience with the I Street Press, and I wanted to tell you what my experience was, because I think this is something many of you might end up in the same position. There was a great young man here named Nick Hydorn, lives in Sacramento, did some research, identified the first female council member ever elected in the state of California and potentially in the United States of America, happened to be Sacramento. He did this research in the Sacramento room of the Sacramento Library, and when he and his group came to me with it and wanted to do something to honor her, my suggestion was that he take his blog posts and turn it into a book, which the I Street Press helped us do. And so I wrote the foreword to that book, and I paid for the copies. It was relatively inexpensive, but a really good investment. That book now lives in the Sacramento room. We have had quite a number of events around her life and honoring her. In fact, the council named the Historic Chambers hearing room after her. So it's been a really interesting adventure, and you did a fantastic job with that.
Thank you.
True to your word, I did walk out with a copy before we wrote a check. It was beautiful. Lots of opportunities to make edits and stuff yourself, which is the beauty of working with a printer on your own. You know, you don't like the way something looks, or something isn't quite right. All those formatting opportunities are there for you to put it together so that you can put out a really professional product. For me, this was a great way to honor an important woman, but also to give voice to the work of a community that had been looking and doing research on important historical figures. So very grateful to the I Street Press and happy to have had the opportunity to work with you.
Well, thank you very much.
Great, Ms. Budge.
Jerry, do you need what phone number do you call to make a reservation?
264-2777.
So Linda's autobiography will be on its way soon.
Well, we
No,
live in Rancho
actually-
together, so, we'll see each other.
No, actually, Jerry is supposed to know that the Cordova Park District just turned 60, and they collected mementos, recollections from all the people who'd been on the board and been associated with the district. And so Patrick's got this file, and he wanted to publish it, and I said, you've got to go down to the I Street Press. They can do this for you.
Let's make a book.
So the district administrator will be calling.
Very good. Thank you, Linda. And
Great.
thank you all very much.
Thank you very much, appreciate it. Okay, we're going to go to 3.2, library game update.
Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Durr. I'm a librarian out of our central library here. So I'm going to plug in my device, if you guys don't mind. All right. So I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about the library game project. If you recall, around this time last year, I briefed the board on some of the activity that we had done. The project since then has expanded and taken on sort of different steps. So I'm going to go through some of those steps with you here. Last year, we ran it in the Walnut Grove Library as part of a grant. This year, we've branched out from that, making it more of a traditional library program, as well as embedding it in a couple of community partnership areas here. So we ran it at the North Natomas Library after school once a week. Students opted into this program. It was held after school in the library's computer lab. It targeted the more affluent area in Natomas, the Intercom High School students. And because the students self-selected into this program, the general computer literacy that they came to bring to the program was a little bit higher. So when we go in to look at some of the model games that they created a little bit later and talk about some of the skills they learned, we'll examine that. We went to Leotata Floyd Elementary. I compare this, the model that we had there, most clearly to the Walnut Grove experience. So Leotata Floyd is one of the elementaries in Sacramento County that struggles with some socioeconomic issues. And we wanted to bring this access to technology, this access to professionals in the information technology spheres to these students and give them exposure and give them opportunities to interact with this type of technology and learning to code. And this past year, or this past summer here, we've been partnering at UC Davis Children's Hospital, where once a week on Thursdays, so actually earlier today, we're there and we're working on the coding skills with the students that are essentially living in the hospital in short term, so that they have opportunities to experience this type of education. And what's great about all three of these communities that we did this last year with is that this kind of coding, this kind of technological instruction is not available to them readily. And I'm going to get into the purpose of it kind of at the end. Some game samples here. We had Nathan, who was a student at Intercom, 9th grade. He designed something that's a bit of a game, but his thing is not really a game for fun. It's kind of about creating a user experience. So I'll show you what he created. This is sort of meant to test your patience, if you will. So it's got some music. It's a little bit obnoxious, but Nathan kind of built something to annoy. So you've got this story built into the game where you are working, you're in some sort of communist dystopia where you're being called comrade. You work at the button clicking factory where you need to click the button. Oh, there's Nathan's music. So that's going to repeat constantly. Nathan set this up where your job is to click the button. It's tough to see from your seats there, but I'm clicking the button. Somewhere between 70 and I think 140 clicks, I'm going to get to my next level. So as you can see, we've got this simulation of a job that is built into a game, but it's kind of got this really cynical view of what a job is. So I go and I click. I'm going to get there, I swear. I'm skipping this level. And now I still have to click the button, but it's moving around, so I can't just stand there and click it. I've got to try and follow it. But what's really valuable about this, that what Nathan built, is that there's logical rules that are governing everything that's happening. It's tough to tell, but the button is trying to move away from where the clicker is, and that's done with a mathematical expression. It's using random numbers to determine when the actual trigger happens. This kind of machine thinking, this sort of computer engineering is really valuable for future skills. Now we have the button that teleports every time you click. Here again, we're dealing with a random function. Nathan was able to make this random function so the button teleports within a range. So it's going to come between somewhere in this part of the screen and this part of the screen. And that's all done with pixels and engineering that. Now we've got this guy here. Every time I click, he accelerates towards wherever I click. If he touches the walls, he dies. And I've got to try and click the button like that.
But we're totally good going to the next game.
Yeah, next game's a little bit more of a game. And here is where I've got to click the button against it by
so
moving.
I actually wasn't kidding. We're totally ready to go to the next game.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood you. Yeah.
Thank you.
So.
Thank you.
Nathan built a product there. So here is a game built by two students. They built a game that falls into much more of a traditional game. They really got into the art aspect of this, where we get to see lots of different art assets. They took traditional fairy tales and they rewrote them, where we've got the tortoise and the hare, but the tortoise has a jetpack attached to him. I've got to click the tortoise to move in between this green bar here. So there's sort of this engineered user experience there. I'm going to go to the next level. This is going to be the ugly duckling, where each time I play this level, the duckling appears in a different spot on the board, and that's all randomized, and I've got to click the duckling in a certain amount of time. The duckling looks like a pigeon to me in this one for some reason. And here we have the three little pigs. The big bad wolf is smoking, but he's also asthmatic for some reason, and he's drawing what looks to be McDonald's fries, but they're actually little balls of straw to build the first house. When I get to a certain number of them, the house appears, and now he's dropping sticks. This is engineered to be harder each time, so the sticks fall faster, the wolf moves faster, the sticks behave in more unpredictable ways as you go through. So they rewrote 3 fairy tales to be a game. The last game that I'm going to show you was built by a 6th grader at Leotata Floyd, and this one right here is Keandre. His has music as well, and it's less of a traditional game and kind of more of just a vignette, a series of scenes. It's taking a second to load. We might be having trouble with Keandre's game. But what we can look at with these is that Caitlin and Isabel, Nathan, Keandre, they all really designed really different experiences. And they're able to work on the art, the coding, the story of their projects in different ways. So how the project works, there's working with the technology, this formal thinking, the machine thinking, the coding basics, this manipulation of visual and art files. So we can see here's the inside of Nathan's game, where we've got his button, we've got these rules for clicking the mouse down, we've got this tracker that keeps track of how many times it has been clicked, lots of different objects that all the code is attached to, all really technical skills that translate well outside of the software that they're using here. Here's what we use to create the art. It's called Piskel. This is really valuable for them because it's working with a visual medium, but there's also problems that they have to troubleshoot when they work with this here. So you can see this little sprite that they made. There's all this empty space down here. That's going to appear in their game as empty space. So if this sprite was put on the screen, he'd be floating 10 pixels off the ground. And they have to learn to troubleshoot those difficulties as they're building them. And that kind of valuable hands-on learning experience is really sort of what we're after. And then there's the narrative element to the game. So we don't just teach tech and creation inside of a bubble in the Sacramento Public Library. We do it where it's meant to communicate a message. So that's really valuable to it. Finally, they all work as teams, so they do what's called a Scrum-style management, which is often used in the ICT sector to get projects done together cooperatively, where the students move what they're able to accomplish through their project management system there. We have different target outcomes, an increase in skill in terms of technical skills about recording video files or audio files, making characters, writing if-then scripts, but also questions about how likely they are to pursue technology in the future in any sort of career they might be pursuing later on. These outcomes were left with increases in the post and pre-surveys. And then with UC Davis, we didn't run the same intensive program. So what we ended up getting was a letter of support from the child life specialist there, and talking about giving these opportunities to just have a sort of normal childhood experience in the hospital while they're living in those conditions. So that's turned out to be a really fruitful partnership so far. Linda has copies of that letter if any of you would like to see it.
You should all have one at your place.
Additionally, because I'm a librarian and I'm taking this library service outside of the building, I really try and bring in what the library does really well to those areas that I pursue. So we're about connecting information and resources to people. So as we do this, I brought in Special Agent Nicholas Farapidis. I still can't pronounce his name correctly. He's with the FBI Cybercrimes, and he talked about how the coding skills they learned in this project here translates to his career and how it has to do with his professional his work as a law enforcement professional. The classroom that I was at Leotata Floyd, I found out they were reading a book called Mockingbird by Catherine Eskren, who's a National Book Award-winning author. I reached out to her and I got her to Skype into the classroom for free. You can see the students there. They were looking at me as I was taking their picture. There's Keandre. And then we also had Drew Powers, who's a podcaster and game developer. He's also just a general media maker, talk with the students quite a bit. This is his podcast, The Game Show. It's more popular than the Rachel Maddow Show on podcasts. So we've got these people who make new media, who are engaged in this content creation, speaking with these students. So to just conclude, why is this the library business? Ultimately, we're talking about teaching how to use technology. So this is really a digital literacy project. The kids, they're not walking away able to code in Perl or C or anything like that. They're not walking away video game developers, but they're engaged in what technology can do, and they better understand machine thinking. Those are universal truths that you need to be able to really conquer in order to use machines in the modern day life. And the library is engaged in that type of literacy, and that's what's really important. Also, we're at the intersection of real three skill spaces, coding, storytelling, and digital art. And creating a project that hits all three of those is valuable to us because of the level on which we teach things tends to be on the surface. So when we can find these intersectional spaces, we find value for our patrons. And then finally, this is responding to a community need. We hear from parents, we hear from the students themselves, we hear from school stakeholders that they want these STEM resources inside of their classrooms, inside of their communities. And there's not always the opportunity to offer them readily. So the library likes to step in and fill a community need when there is one. And this is an example of us doing that. As I mentioned, learning to code while you're staying inside the hospital isn't something that you typically think can happen. But with the library's help, we're able to make it a part of the reality. So there's my presentation. Do we have questions? Do we have time for that?
That's great. I don't see any questions at this point, but I think that's great, and you're bringing services to young people that wouldn't necessarily get them otherwise, so really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to move to 3.3. I don't see anything from the Friends today, Rivka? And nothing from the Foundation, so let's move to the Director's Report 5.0. We'll come back to a closed session.
Okay, thank you. I'll refer the board to my written report, but I want to mention just a couple of things. Again, if you may or may not have heard the buzz about an article that appeared in Forbes magazine on Sunday about why Amazon should just open bookstores and we should close all the libraries and save taxpayers money, which actually is, when you think about kids who are in schools that have 97% free and reduced price lunch, is sort of ridiculous. The backlash was so swift and fast are the same thing, swift and certain, that Forbes pulled the article and basically apologized. I was on Insight yesterday morning. They called and said, we can only have you on for like 2 minutes. It's a really busy news day. So I got to do a little quick response to it. It was great. I want Christy just to give you a really quick summer reading update, because we are so excited about what's going on and about what's going on in our 2 libraries that are open 7 days a week. But Christy's going to give you an update on summer reading because it's kind of amazing.
Okay, so we are almost at the end of summer reading, but we are going great. We have over 30,000 readers across Sacramento who have read over 400,000 books, which is kind of amazing. Our finishing percentages is up over our previous years, in some cases up to 10%, which means more kids are reading more books over the summer. We know that has more of an impact. In addition, we are serving lunch in 13 different library locations. We have beat our last year's numbers there as well. We just served 11,000 meals in libraries as of Tuesday. And a lot of things going on at lots of different branches. So we have a special partnership with Rayleigh's, went out to some of our libraries and gave away produce. We are doing the Million Meals Summer events with Senator Pan's office, doing mobile health clinics in some of our libraries. The next one is tomorrow at the Valley High North Laguna Library. We've been doing pop-up play day programs in conjunction with Fairy Tale Town at 4 different libraries to bring fun, outdoor play in areas where they may not have a chance to experience those kinds of things. And again, 7-day-a-week service at Valley High and Martin Luther King libraries, programs of all different kinds for all ages. We know that the door counts are up and people are excited to see the library in their community. So lots of good stuff going on.
That's fabulous. Thank you so much for that update. I think that was
And I just want to
great.
say thank you to the Sacramento City Council for approving the extra funds to have us open at Valley High North Laguna Library and Martin Luther King Jr. Library 7 days a week. Mondays are the busiest days at King. They're the #1 and #2 lunch sites for the Lunch at Your Library program. I called the Spelling Bee a couple of weeks ago. It was just a hive of activity. It couldn't be better, so thank you so much. Any questions?
On behalf of the city, you're welcome. Mr. Carr.
Yes. How's the swimming pool reading program going?
1,000 passes distributed so far.
1,000, and we ran out of passes in Galt, I think, and had to do more. So, yeah, so it's going really well. The
That's
kids are
5,000 books.
they're eating, they're reading, and they're swimming. So they're getting all of their needs met, we hope.
What'd you say, Councilman Carr? It's what? 5?
They're reading the books.
So it's 5,000?
5,000 books.
That's great.
That's good. That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Thanks very much. Thank you, Rivka. That's a great report. You can bring that report to us every month, and we'll leave the rest aside.
Okay.
It's all good. All right. Information items 6.1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Any questions on those? Okay, we'll go to the consent calendar, 7.1 through 7.6. Any questions? Is there a motion?
Move approval of consent
I have a
calendar.
motion by Ms. Budge, a second by Mr. Warren. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, the motion carries unanimously. We are now going to go to our closed session, and we will be back because we do have an action item, 2 action items that will result hopefully out of our closed session. So for all of the public, we'll be back. And whatever we're doing. And go to 8.1. Rivka, are you doing this?
Yes. So as you will recall, we had a special meeting in June where we laid out the recommendations of what needed to happen. And I think, Georgia, do you want to clarify some of the terms? But they're all laid out before you, and they're all as we discussed back in June. So that's why we thought we didn't need a closed session.
That's fine. Let me just ask, are there any questions about this? I know we've talked about it in detail in closed session.
And-
Okay.
Okay.
Is there a motion?
Move approval.
I have a motion by Ms. Budge, second by Mr. Swin. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, the motion carries. Let's go to 8.2 on the resolution.
And then
Same thing.
8.2, we may come back with some additional language cleanup, but we wanted to get the terms out for our confidential staff and unrepresented staff, so that's why we're presenting it this way.
Okay, any
We would
questions?
recommend approval.
Is there a motion?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Elk Grove, a second by Elk Grove. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, the motion carries. Reports, ideas, and questions from board members? Seeing none, we're adjourned.
Thank you. I would like to encourage all of you to stop by the library booth at the State Fair, though, if you haven't been there. I know, but Building 3.
Yeah. I haven't been this year. It's just been too hot.